Hello everyone, how's it going today? Back to show an update on the Alien CV. Quite a bit to it. One of the big things is the bottom of the ship. Finally got that worked out and incorporated some bay doors, as you can see right up there, but really try to go off on the bottom and have an awful lot of changes and breakups and different patterns and a lot of things going on with it. Um, so that's pretty much how it came out, and I definitely like it. I think it looks good from a distance, and it looks pretty good up close too. Um, don't mind the other ships I got spawned nearby here. I was just kind of looking at size comparison, and then I was kind of looking at something on the Gigacore as well. But another change that was made too was a little bit of detailing and a bit of a flare over on this side area. I did say I wanted to address this part, and I did kind of switch the scheme so this pattern carries on further out, and then I add like a little row of texture lights there. Um, this flare was done for cosmetic reasons. And a little bit more weird funkiness on the inside over here and some metal stuff. And what I was looking at on that was the top view, and what it had was everything so curved all the way around the ship, but then this area here went just straight and flat and kind of a square, and I didn't like that, so I just added some more blocks to the side to bring that out a little bit, so then you get a little bit different top profile on it, where it's more of an angled pattern now. And on the bay doors up here, they fit pretty good. I had some debates on whether or not I wanted larger, like a single larger door mechanism or the twin smaller doors. I decided to go ultimately with the twin smaller doors. I thought it fit better, and I think it looks better cosmetically. Um, so that's kind of what took place on the bottom of the ship. Now another little detail on this too is the bottom of the ship actually has more or less 2 layers of combat steel for a floor. So like I'm in 1 layer right now, but you can see that all this other stuff is below that exactly. And that is kind of the standard I'm going to be following with this ship for the walls, and basically the outer hull is going to be more of a 2 block steel setup versus a 1 block that I do most of the ships in. So this will be more like the Nemesis. The Nemesis was built this way as well. Kind of a pain in the butt because I have to determine, what block in every location, what material it should be. Here, I'm going to make a change real quick here, and well, actually, before I do that, I also added 4 more turrets to the bottom of the ship. So there's a couple more over here and a couple back over in this section. And on specs on the ship right now, I have now maxed out the maximum amount of 3x3 turrets I can put on the ship. In fact, it's maxed out pretty much everything except it doesn't have any multi-tools on it. Maybe it will. I don't know yet. So I'll have to see if all these turret positions are in the best spot. So for ground turrets, or basically turrets that can shoot the ground, you have quite a lot. You have 2 up front here, and these side ones can also hit the ground, depending on where you're at. Another one over here, another 2 back over here, another 2 over here, and then of course 2 more in the back area. And as in this one, I know it was suggested to have like a retractable turret there. However, I used all my available turrets, and I can't actually fit any more in besides making it break with pretty much all the rules, which I don't really want to do. So I'm just kind of keeping it at the game limits of weaponry and whatnot, and not exceeding that. As in class size, well, here, I'll show you some more interior areas now too. Um, for visual purposes, I just kind of want to show you what it looks like with at nighttime. So that's kind of what I gear a lot of this towards. So getting into the hangar here, there's a couple, obviously it's mostly all unfinished, but I addressed a couple areas. Now one, I've got these platforms up here, and I actually spent quite a lot of time building this platform. Of course, it was a copy pasting, which works again, by the way. So I could build one and copy it to the other side. So we have like a second floor landing platform for smallish SVs. I won't say really big ones, but you can get some pretty good size SVs on there. I do believe the Creel gas is an awfully tight fit though, so that's getting a little bit too big for it. But the smaller level 10 SV fits fine up here, and a lot of ships that I've made would. Now on the bay itself, here, let me get out of God mode a minute. This is basically how I've got this set up right now, and I know it needs a little bit of modification. The idea is from the hangar, which you're even with the hangar floor here, so you could bring in a HV or SV through the back door. You drive down into one of these two bays, and then you dock it up on the ceiling here. Now, one problem I know I got to change with the bay is I have switches to open up these bay doors at the front, and that is a bad spot for the switches. So the idea would be I'll have to make a custom vehicle that is ceiling mountable, that has extension ramps that come out the side as well as your entry doors. So an extension ramp could come down to this middle walkway here, and then you could either exit out the front or the back of this area. So when you're gonna deploy a vehicle using this, you would walk down here, you would flip the switch, which I'll have to get in a better location, to open up these doors. You'll hop in the vehicle, and then you can drop right out of the ship. Depending on how tall the vehicle is, you might even be able to do this when it's landed on the ground. So we'll see how all that works out. I'll have to make a test vehicle and figure out the exact dimensions that it can be maximum size of. These bay doors are not super big, but I try to get them so they're at least more of a rectangular shape and things like that, so you could fit a lot of things in here, but I won't say everything. Certainly not everything. Also in here too, I've put in a couple cargo boxes and a fridge on each side, and then up front you got some O2 and you got a med bay as well. So that's how that kind of came out. I'm just curious on your thoughts on it. I think it looks cool. I think it should work, providing you have the right vehicles for it. Other than that, one of the other things too is I wanted to use the hangar doors as opposed to any kind of ramps or the other shutter doors, and that has a lot to do with the hit points of it. Let me turn on the lights and explain a couple more things on how the hall's being built. Now, when I was talking about the floor here being 2 layers, that extends also to basically all the outer walls of the ship. Even when I'm building out this area, every block I place, I have to determine how far that is from the side of the ship and whether that block needs to be combat steel, or if I'm going to use the interior material, which I'm going to do carbon substrate, is for 2 purposes: 1 for price and 2 for weight. So like most of this platform out here is actually built from carbon substrate, but the outer wall will have going up here has a lot of combat steel in it, and that's to have that 2-layer thickness at least. So it'll be an awful lot like the Nemesis. Now another feature I was looking to add to the ship, and let me just show you how that could potentially look. is a second floor in a cockpit. Now I did that with one ship only, and that was the Gigacore, where I had this extra platform on the top, and it had the benefit of having a very similar cockpit design to what this Alien CV does, or how the glass is done looking downwards. And I thought that made a kind of a neat view from up here. And then granted, it's a lot of fluff and things like that, but I just thought it was kind of neat. So I'm going to try to do something like that with this ship as well. As in size class, don't mind some missing textures. This is all stuff I was blowing away from the interior. I got to fix that again. It already hit size class 10, so it's going to be ramping up in size class pretty quickly. Doing these interior spaces really lifts the size class fast, especially like adding lights and things like that. There's some little tricks I did too, like there's actually a decal over these texture lights, and during the day it's kind of weird looking, but at night I thought it had this neat little effect to it where those texture things kind of dissipate, and then you just get this little bit of I don't know, highlight, I guess, like there's some kind of weird light in there. Just something very subtle to look at. Let's see what else. So on layout on this, I was just kind of threw some elevators in here as a general guideline right now. And I think that might be a good location to have the main elevators getting up between the floors of the ship, at least on the front half of it. Crafting area. Now I like to have crafting areas either in the hangar itself on the sides or very close to the hangar. With this ship, with its kind of unusual layout up here, I'm actually thinking about having a centralized crafting area up here, but that also gives you a couple pretty big bays right on the sides of the crafting area. Say you're working on a specific vehicle or building something out or whatnot, you could hop into what I believe will be the crafting area, and then bring all your parts over here and work on your vehicle, kind of like maintenance bays. Repair bay will probably be somewhere centered between these doors, probably in this block here. There's going to be walkways that obviously go around the sides of the ship and connect to these landing pads here, probably connect right up to these elevators one way or another. And then above this area, I plan on utilizing some more space and creating some more rooms. These top pads only probably need about a height of around this block here, so all this area above there I could do some stuff with. So it'll probably get some fluff items in that section, but places that you don't need to go unless you're exploring the ship. But I'm going to try to keep all your function and farms and everything you need to be using this ship in the game out in a fairly close proximity in the front area of the ship. And there's an awful lot of room to fill in with stuff too. So as in a couple ideas with fluff rooms, one would be potentially an alien temple. Obviously I'm not going to do a lounge, but kind of a trippy alien temple thing. And another thing I got an idea for is like almost like a boxing combat arena. And I think I would have room for that as well, maybe towards the back of the ship up top somewhere. But a lot of this will be kept fairly open, so when you walk into this hangar it's going to look pretty expansive. And even with these rooms added there, it's going to have a lot of space in it. So that's kind of pretty much what I wanted to show you today. And I was just again doing a little bit of size comparison. So I spawned in this Carapace C3, which it's not the biggest ship, but it's a class 3 CV. It's bigger than the starter ships. It's a medium level ship, and I was looking at all this, the hangar and all the room in this ship with the farms, and it's got a lot of engineering in this area and that area. And then I just look at how much bigger this other ship is in comparison to it. It's just like, wow, okay. pretty fun project, but it's gonna keep on taking some time. Each of these sections is taking quite a lot of time. Believe it or not, it probably took about 4 hours to build those this little section here, and I only did it on one side and copied it to the other side. So it's a time-consuming process, but I want to try to get everything, I don't know, the best I can do it, I guess. So, but you know, there's limitations. You know, I got to finish it, and I can't be a perfectionist either. So I'm sure there's little things here and there that won't be exactly perfect, but I'll try to get it as nice as I possibly can. So yeah, just curious on your thoughts, and curious on your thoughts on the hangar bay. And another thing, except for the 2 blocks I got, I didn't texture over here. I got to replace those yet. Is the ceiling of this is also combat steel. So if fire came in and took out these doors, there's another combat steel layer above it, and that's just part of the thing to make this so it can take a lot of abuse. Hopefully, awful lot of abuse, and wherever I decide to put the core, which I'm not sure yet, that'll be well protected as well, probably with 3 to 4 layers of protection and inside of internal rooms somewhere. But that is yet to be determined on where that goes. A couple other things I was looking at potentially doing to the body of the ship would be to possibly rework where some of these guns are placed. Kind of looking at these top guns. I guess I don't really have a big problem with how they are now, but I'm just kind of curious if I could come up with something better. And same idea for the rocket launchers off to the side over here. Maybe there's a better option for that. I'm pretty content with how the mining drills are. I'm not sure about the separation though. Should they be further apart from one another? Does it matter with this kind of drill? I don't exactly know. One last thing I was potentially thinking about doing is dropping the landing gear down another block, which would raise the entire ship height by another block and have more room on the bottom side here. If I did do that, however, I would have to build out a block row here and have it angled down before it went to the ramps on the 3 different hangar doors around the ship. And I kind of already did that a little bit here, so I would have to actually bring it out yet one more block, and I'm not sure exactly how that would look. But I think it would be kind of nice because it would increase the height of the ship when landing, and potentially make it easier to drop a vehicle out of these bays while it is parked on the ground. Right now I don't believe it's going to have enough room to do that. It's about 2 blocks up from where the landing gear actually sit to the ground at this point. If I had it up another one, it would be 3 blocks, which is actually perfect for the size of what these bays are, which are actually essentially 3 blocks. It drops down about a half block here, and then it's 2.5 blocks to the ceiling. So I think that would work out, but that would be another body mod kind of thing. And yeah, I'll probably end up doing that because I'm talking about it and I like to freak and do those kind of things. But anyway, curious on your thoughts and what you think, and if you like the bottom, how it came out, and this vehicle bay. I think that will work out pretty good, providing I move those the switches that actually open these bay doors, because they're in a terrible spot to get to right now that I realize. So, and I could replace this with sensors. I do have to make some LCDs here, and I was thinking about a motion sensor to tell you to like stop or where you should park, based on the screens that would be in front of you. Next release I'm probably going to do is actually probably the tank. I'm going to give this a good look over and see if there's anything else I can do to try to enhance the looks or function of it. Now, I already know that this maxed out turrets, I believe, for HV, so I can't really add any more weaponry. potentially I could get in a little bit more storage. It is pretty weak on storage. Well, it's a tank though. It's not you know, it's not a harvester, but it has a little bit of harvest storage due to the grinders on the front here, and decent amount of ammo. Storage is a little weak at 4K volume, but this ship had, or this vehicle had a issue with not a lot of room inside, due to the fact that it's got this big cuts that go down here in between the central cabin and the I don't know, thruster areas, I guess you could say. So that's wasteful on space. I think it looks cool, but it is wasteful on space for sure. But, you know, it's a tank. It's designed to shoot stuff. It's, of course, it can scoop a little bit of loot, but it's not like a loot lifter or anything like that. So, I guess it does what it's supposed to do. So, and that's how things are going now. And hope you enjoyed this. And please leave me any comments or suggestions or anything like that. If you got any ideas, I will have a fair amount of area to add fluff stuff, and you know, the combat arena and temple, alien temple kind of thing are two ideas that I've got now. I obviously haven't done either of those yet, but if you got any other ideas of things that you could put in an alien ship that might seem appropriate to the faction, as something that's not critical for gameplay, I'm really curious on your thoughts on that. Might have some more room. Do lots of things all over the place and whatnot. All right, well, y'all have a good day. Hope you enjoyed this, and see you later.